Hey friends, I'm back with another video, and this one is going to be a bit of a tutorial slash trade skill something or other. One of the skills that always both fascinated and frustrated me was spell research, or just research, depending on whatever you want to call it. And it's changed over the years. It used to be that you needed a different kit, a different research kit depending on what class you were. You would also need different components depending on what class you were. But at some point it changed. It was sort of, I don't know if I'd say streamlined because it's gotten a hell of a lot more complicated. But it was changed. And now there's a lot of components you can buy from merchants. And so in a sense it's easier, but there's still things that are dropped off monsters, and those are usually the hides and papyruses and things like that that you have to find. A lot of them, like in the low levels, are hides, and this skill could be really useful if you're playing on a progression server before POK opens up, because POK changed a lot of things. In a sad sense, it made research completely useless, at least partially. I discovered later on that there are spells, namely enchanter spells, to enchant certain hard to find metals to make jewelry that don't seem to be sold in POK. Now, if you know that they're sold somewhere else, please feel free to correct me in the comments below, because I'm completely unaware of this. So that's why I'm making this video. But they also can make other things that can possibly be useful, but not extremely. Which is why I've rarely ever used them unless I got bored and made some and decided, hey, let me throw this on a warrior because it'll be funny. So we're going to start here. To be clear, these NPCs are only here on a live, regular server. Not any of the progression servers. I mean, they might be on some of the progression servers. I don't know when these guys showed up, but I'm on Veronavi right now, which has all expansions enabled. I'm doing this because this is the easiest way to get through this quickly, because I know these 4 NPCs should have nearly everything I need, starting with Eric Razimus over here. We're going to talk to him, and we are going to try to find our spell research kit, and here it is. So we will buy one of these, and this here character that I'm on right now has never done research, so I'm not going to have any kind of advantage at all. And what I want to do is open up my research kit. I have 1 skill point in research, and you basically get 1 point just by, like, when you unlock it, I think at level 20 or somewhere around there abouts. I'm just going to hit search recipes to see if there's anything I can make to just get my skill up beyond 1. And it looks like there's a few here. Empty vial. If I find pure water and a dirty vial, I can make empty vials. So that doesn't sound very promising. I don't have any dirty vials. So there's fine salt. I don't know anything about fine salt or where to get it. So let's see if maybe he might sell some. Here's some rock salt. I wonder if this has anything to do with it. Rock salt. Oh, look. That's what you need to make fine salt. So let's purchase, I don't know, let's say 30 things of rock salt so we can make some fine salt. Now, what you can also do to get your skill up to level probably about 54, or just skill up to 54, I don't know if you'd call it level 54, is in Crescent Reach. In the Crescent Reach zone, you can go there, and I believe they have simple tasks where you combine simple things, probably inks or whatever, or to make inks and things like that for an NPC, and you get up to level skill 54, right? But I'm not there right now. I'm here, so I'm just gonna make some fine salt. So I'm gonna keep doing this until I get to skill 15, and I'll probably speed up the video so you don't have to sit through and wait. So I made some fine salt. I have no idea what fine salt is used for, but let's see if we have other things that we can make. Training rune. I wonder, do they sell training runes? Let's see. No, they don't sell training runes. I think you make training runes like out of ingredients that you find like from animals or some crap. I have no idea. I looked it up and I found out that we can make some pure water, and we need some Noma sheet source for that. And luckily he sells some. I have a feeling I'm going to be using a lot of Noma sheet source, so I'm going to buy a few stacks of it. Yeah, 900, that seems good. Let's see if he has any empty vials. He does. So let's buy, I don't know, say 200 empty vials. And I need water. Just regular old water flasks. Ooh, I've got a ton of those. So let's try to make some pure water. We need 5 empty vials, 4 water flasks, and 1 Noma sheet source. And it looks like we failed. So we get our empty vials back in return. Remember, this might fail a few times because my skill is only at 15 so far. So we'll just have to keep doing it until we succeed at least once. In which case then I could just use the automated system to make a whole bunch. And I believe making this is the easiest way to get up to skill 54 without going to Crescent Reach. And I am getting some skill ups, as you see down here, just by failing to do these. And I'm failing a whole lot. And it wouldn't be frustrating except for the fact that I have to do this by hand and move all of them. And I know, first world problems, oh my god, he complains about pressing buttons. I know that there's a lot worse going on in the world, and I shouldn't complain, but I just kind of want this video to happen without boring the crap out of the viewers. So I might cut some of this or speed it up, just so you guys aren't sitting there like, he's just trying to make bottles of water and it's taking forever. Goodness gravy. And here we go, we finally made vial of pure water. So let's just throw that in there. Let's close and reopen our kit. Let's just type in water. And here we go. Vial of pure water, skill 54. So this should be one of the easier things to make to get your skill up to 54 without having to use skill points and stuff like that. So go for the salt first, then go for the vials of pure water. It's relatively cheap too. Not a lot of platinum involved to buy the ingredients. So while this is going on, I think I'm going to head towards Freeport, because once I hit skill 50, and there it goes, I hit 50, I want to go and have my research trophy queued up, because that way, there we go, I'm at 54, so I could stop making the pure water and zone into the Freeport zone to get my quest to make my researcher's trophy. Wow. there is what looks like to be a high elf running around Freeport killing things. And they're level 2. That's just wild. It's good to see. I don't know why. It warms my heart. They're just running around with a cleric mercenary killing rats. So here we go. We're at event coordinator. Bobbly Diggs. Boobly Diggs. Feel free to leave a comment below. Is it pronounced Bobbly Diggs or Boobly Diggs? She does look rather boobly, so feel free to let me know your opinion. So we're going to ask her to give us the test, and our test is going to be for research. So now we have our researchers quest to make our researchers trophy, right? And I want to do the one to get the lowest one because it's going to be the easiest one to make. And even if you skill up before you finish the trophy, you'll still get the trophy, and then I think it automatically will level up a bit to wherever the hell you're at. So a little cheat there, a little, you know, snippet of info. So we're gonna gate back to POK, and hopefully this character's bound in POK. Not played her in a minute. Entering plane of knowledge, so that's good. I am bound there. I usually try to bind there, but I found some characters that are like close to level 50, level late 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're still bound in Glooming Deep, which basically means they gate to Glooming Deep, but because they're over level 15, they crash, and I have to, you know, reboot their instance, their window. I'm going to make my pet guard here because nobody likes it when you have a mage pet or something blocking merchants and you can't access them. This happens a lot over here with parcels, the parcels guy. Idiots always leaving their pets or even just their characters blocking it where nobody can have access. He's a very popular bloke, as you could see, surrounded by people. So we have skill up to 54, and now is the good part where we actually try to make some things. So I'm going to need some pieces of parchment, so I'm going to go to Census Rasmus, and I'm just going to type in peace, and I'm going to apologize in advance in case the dog outside starts barking again, because he was, and I was able to clip it out. But he might do it again. So let's hope that he's not a douchebag and he stays quiet for a bit. And now here's a spell that some of you may be wondering, what the hell was this spell for? We're going to Primitive Spellcasters Empowering Essence. But we want to do mass rudimentary essence or mass primitive essence, because this will make one of our components. We cast a spell and we get these little balls. Also, things that you'll need is some crude binding powder. Now, binding powder drops off monsters. There is no purchasing binding powder, at least not that I'm aware of. We need to use focus, mass, crude, spellcasters, empowering essence. So we cast a spell, we get our little blue balls. We put it in our spell research kit along with crude binding powder, a piece of parchment, and crude binding solution. We combine it and we get crude enchanted spell parchment. Then we can close our kit, reopen it. We can type in crude. And we can combine it. Let me actually summon a few more of these blue balls. Blue balls. So now we got an even number between the solution and the balls. And I'll just hit combine all. And we'll get up to 57. I mean, it's going to trivial at 58, so... And there we go, we're at 58. I'm just going to use the rest of this stuff, though. I may as well. Now, you may ask, okay, so you made these stupid crude enchanted spell parchments. Are they used for anything, or you just throw them away? Well, you can make something out of them. And we're going to hope that Eric here has them. No, he does not have Ink of Roe. So maybe Marie has it. And yeah, they've got Ink of Roe. So since we've got 8, we'll buy... Actually, we'll buy 100 because I can make more, because this is going to help us skill up even higher. We also need some Quills of the Arcane. So we can do that. We can get Quill of the Arcane. So I'm going to buy 100 of those. Now, this is where it starts to get expensive. If you buy a pre-made Quill of the Arcane, a stack of 100 cost me 262 platinum. That's a lot, right? Just like the Ink of Roe cost 692 platinum for just a stack of 100. But there is a cheaper way where you can actually just craft your ink and your quill. I believe you can get a non-magical quill from one of these NPCs, and it might be Eric. Yeah, see, you could get a quill for less. So 1 gold, 4 copper. And then you can buy some arcane treatment for 5 gold. So I don't know if it would end up being cheaper. You know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. And I'm going to buy 100 of the arcane treatments, which is only 52 platinum. And we'll buy 100 quills, which is only 10 platinum, right? So we did that, and then we take the treatment, the arcane treatment, and the quill. You need 2 arcane treatments, 1 quill. You hit combine, and you get Quill of the Arcane. So Quill of the Arcane is trivial at 35. So I guess if you want to, you could always try making a ton of Quills of the Arcane to get your skill up to 35 before you get it up to 58, which I already have. So I'm not getting any skill ups from this. But it does look like it would be significantly cheaper to make my quills, even buying the ingredients from them, rather than having them pre-made and buying them. I don't know why the surcharge is so high, but I guess we're paying for convenience and the fact that they sat there and dipped their quill into vials of arcane fluid, or whatever the hell that shit is. But I'm not going to sit here and go through all this. But I did want to show you, okay, you can make your own quills if you want. You can make your own ink too. And ink is usually combining some kind of gem and something else to make it. And gems sometimes drop off mobs. So I'm assuming that would be cheaper too, to make your own ink. But then you also know there's risks of failure when making your own ink. But anyway, enough of that. We're going to combine Ink of Roe with a Quill of the Arcane and our crude enchanted spell parchment. And boom, we have a crude scroll of Fire Strike. It can be used by anybody that's level 10 or higher. And it says, when thrown, it explodes and burns the target. So it's like a ranged weapon. Unfortunately, the range is pretty shitty on these. You gotta be fairly close, but I guess not too close. Although I think it's just used from your inventory. So what you could do is, if you have one of these, you know, you left click and hold it, you make yourself a hotkey and you could put it there, and now I can click it anytime. I could be a warrior, a rogue, a monk, and use this. Maybe use it to pull targets if I don't have javelins or a bow handy. Or if you just want to be goofy and be like, look, I can do magic too. I don't know. Use your imagination, guys. But that's something you can make. So let's see what kind of skill I get for making these scrolls of Fire Strike. So hey, it'll bring me up to 75. So I only got 7 scrolls right now, so I'll have to make more scrolls to skill up. I won't try to get skilled up to 250 or whatever to try to max out in this one video, but I wanted to show you sort of what you could do if you wanted to skill this up and how to do it. And getting the binding powders is part of it. You can either try to farm it, which I wouldn't suggest. I'd say, well, if you come across any binding powder, sure, save it, throw it in your bank. You know, you can always find these big ass trader satchels in the bazaar and throw some of these in your bank so you have room for all this trade skill garbage, right? That your pal Fezzelwig is telling you to save. So what I would suggest is setting up a buyer in the bazaar if you can, if you have a premium account. If not, I guess you could always, you know, sort of spam on the auction channel saying blah blah blah, buying binding powder or something. I don't know. I usually save almost all of my trade skill stuff unless I'm hard up on plat on a character, and then sure, I'll barter it off and sell it to someone. I think setting up a buyer, if you wanted to do spell research, it's an option. It's a much easier option rather than trying to farm it or purchase it from other players the hard way. There may even be sellers in the bazaar selling it, but setting up a buyer and buying it from players is probably going to be cheaper than buying it from people, you know, merchants that were set up selling it in the bazaar. You could always check, you know, check the prices on your server. Maybe they're good, maybe they're competitive. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm making a bunch of focus essence, these, you know, the blue balls. So I've got 55, so now I could buy some 55 crude binding solution, and that's not what I need. And she doesn't have what I need. And sometimes when I don't remember who has what, this is what I do until I find, I think this one has it. Yes, crude binding solution. And we'll buy 55. And we'll hit combine. So I could start making more stacks of this parchment. So then I can make more scrolls of Fire Strike. And scrolls of Fire Strike, if I make a bunch, can get my skill level up to, what was it, 75, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, it could get me up to 75. So then, you know, once you're done with crude, you can get up to, I believe it might be modest or simple or something like that, something similar to help you skill up. And I have stacks of different kinds of binding powder. There's crude binding powder, elementary binding powder, intricate binding powder. I believe intricate's one of the higher level ones. Makeshift binding powder, modest binding powder, ornate binding powder, refined binding powder, simple binding powder, and binding powder. These all drop off of mobs. Usually the mobs are going to be in relation to your level. You know, of course, the lower level powder will drop off lower level mobs and so on. So if you're level 70 and you want to start doing research, you're going to be going to kill a whole bunch of low level guys to do this. So that's why I said it's better to just set up a buyer if you can to get this binding powder, because the binding powder, to my knowledge, only drops off mobs. So that's sort of the bottleneck there. Your other opportunity of getting your research up is getting hides, the different kinds of hides, and then the hides get treated. It's the thing is, this is your faster way of getting research up. It's your faster, easier way, even though you still got several steps until you can actually start making your fire strike scrolls. There's different kinds. You don't have to make fire strike. There's like poison strike and disease strike, or whatever the hell they're called. So there's different, you can use cold, different types of elements that you can make these with. Ooh, it looks like I need more crude binding powder. I don't have enough crude binding powder. I'm almost out. Well, that was an oversight on my behalf. So I'll just use the scrolls I have to make more of the fire strike, and then I can move up to the next thing. But I'm pretty close to 75 already, so that's good. And again, if you have a shit ton of hides, then you can skill up using hides instead. And why would you want to skill up? Well, I have made a few scrolls for my enchanter that I couldn't find anywhere else, like enchant Dwarium and enchant I think, was it, I don't want to say the names of ores that don't exist by accident. I know Dwarium is one of them. Might be pronouncing it wrong, but I know that one for sure. Cosgrite is one. That's another one that I had to craft because I couldn't find it anywhere. Hey, look, I did get my research up to 75 doing these stupid scrolls. So you see, this is a good, more efficient way to get your research skill up, and it doesn't cost a whole lot. What did we do? We made some water, some pure water, and then we made some scrolls. You can always make yourself some quills and things like that. So there's some fairly cheap, ways of doing it without having to go and farm a ton of stuff, especially the hides. I always try to skill up this way by making these stupid fire strike scrolls, just because it goes so much quicker than trying to make actual spells. Because the spells, it's harder to find like a large stack, like a stack of 100 hides of the same kind, so you could just crank out versions of the same spell over and over. Instead, I end up having to buy 2 or 3 of this ink, and then 2 or 3 of that ink, and then I'm here for like hours all day long when I could just buy a stack of the 1 or 2 things, like the arcane quills and my ink of roe, and just crank out these stupid scrolls. And I don't know if anybody would buy them in the bazaar. We can always take a look. And oh, here's a little thing I learned recently about checking prices in the bazaar. So let's say you wanted to find out what crude scroll of fire strike was. If you hold Control and Shift and then you left click on the scroll, it fills out the search for you, and then you just hit find item. And there is none on sale right now. So just to make sure it's working, I'm sure somebody's got to be selling Filter of the Wolf. And yes, there are people, someone named Stupidity is selling Filter of the Wolf 5. So if you're trying to set up a merchant in the bazaar, you want to sell things, you want to be competitive, this is a really quick way to look at whatever you have in your inventory to see what it's being sold for. And if it comes up with nothing, you could just double check by hitting find items. And if it still doesn't come up with nothing, then that means that nobody else is selling that item. But as you see here, I click on Filter of the Wolf 5 and it comes up with 2 different people selling it. And you could see one is selling them for 35 each, while the other is selling them for 10 each. So there you go. That is a quick tip that you could use anytime. And I hope this video has helped you in some way. I know research isn't as popular as it used to be, but like I said, it can be used to make some scrolls that you can't find anywhere. They are all higher level scrolls, like enchanting Cosgrite and what was the other one? Dwarium, and some of the metals like that. If you plan on making jewelry, but I guess if you're not making jewelry, then it might not matter at all. I don't know. I do think that using research, you might be able to make 2nd and 3rd tier versions of some spells. Maybe not 3rd tier, but 2nd tier, where they're better and more efficient, more powerful. So you're doing more DPS or whatever it is. You know, like spells so-and-so RK2 or something usually is what it says. And I think that's like level 70 plus. You start seeing spells like that. I can't remember for sure. Feel free to send me any corrections or issues with this video in the comments below. Hopefully, again, this helps with learning research. If you want to learn research, if you're on a progression server where you don't have access to POK, maybe this helps you also, because I played on one of those servers where I was trying to make one of my mage pets because POK wasn't open yet, and you have to research some of your mage pets. And it was really frustrating because I didn't have nearly enough plat. So I had to make my inks from scratch and everything. It took forever, and half the time I failed because it was very difficult to get my skill up. There was no easy way to skill up over there. So that's why I don't always like progression servers, because I like having access to these easier things. They're like just quality of life differences, we'll call it. But again, remember, I have a Patreon. I'd love it if you could become a patron. It would really help support me, support the channel, and feel free to leave a like or a dislike if you hated the video. Also, subscribe to this channel on YouTube if you haven't subscribed already. And I have a Discord that you could check out, and a Twitter. Even though Twitter is a giant dumpster fire these days, I still have it. Have a great day, and have a wonderful tomorrow.